Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. When we walked in to see the media, two things that really hit home about this event. Number one, for me, and I'm sure it's just like the rest of the coaches, this is like the start of the season. It's not the start of our practices. It's not the tip-off. It's not the first game. It's this, because most of us have been in a situation where we haven't been with our team a lot, like we haven't been. And they'll start to come back now for the second session. The freshmen will start to be there, and we start to get to be with them. And we start to get to have those hours. We start to get to have that interaction. And it seems like this is the starting point for us. And it would be great if the players, incoming and veterans, could see a crowd like this, because it's always the best. I mean, there's nothing like it. And I think the biggest reason is because when it comes to Indiana University and Indiana athletics, one of the great foundations of the success of the university and the athletic program is this area, is this Southern Indiana area. And you all deserve a great round of applause for that, because often imitated, never duplicated. But I want to hit a lot of things about our team, but first and foremost, I want to talk about, from my point of view, what it's like to be at Indiana again. And it all goes back to when Fred was hired, and it goes back to some of those first meetings that he had with the coaching staffs. And the staffs have changed, and his team has changed, and there's always change. But the one thing that's been constantly moving forward has been his determination, his mantra, his belief that it truly could be 24 sports, one team. And like a lot of things that get put out there, sometimes they can come off, all right, and maybe people will lose energy with it. They'll lose enthusiasm for it. They'll lose the drive for it. They'll lose the vision for it. Fred has never allowed anybody to lose that vision. And what's happened is he's been preaching to the choir, because you have a group of coaches with a group of assistant coaches and staffs that absolutely want to see each other be successful. And I don't know about you the other night, but I still feel awful for that baseball team, because I know what they put into it. I know what Tracy has put into it. I met Tracy on my third or fourth day on the job, and he told me a couple of things that he had no reason to tell me those things, other than he was a real coach and he wanted to see the head basketball coach at Indiana be successful. And from that point on, our friendship has been phenomenal. And I would look at him, and there are so many people. My boy plays baseball, and he plays basketball, and my daughter plays softball, and she's trying to play volleyball, and my oldest daughter, who's at Indiana, played tennis. When you can look around the room, okay, when you get into a head coach's meeting, and you can truly say that it would absolutely be an honor for your own child to play for those coaches, now you know you're in the right environment. You know, and I can say that. I can honestly sit there and say that, because the wisdom, the discernment, the knowledge, the enthusiasm, the energy, the growth in those programs, it's phenomenal. I look at what's happening across the hall from us with Kurt's team. All right, I leave the other night, and I think about vacations and things like that. You guys think you wish we had a better year. My wife said there's no vacation this year for me. She's been on one, but I don't get one this year, okay? She went right away when the season ended. I didn't get to go. I'm not joking. No, I haven't been on one. We have not been on a family vacation. I'm like, if I'm not in that office or on the road recruiting, Scott saw one of the countless days out recruiting, because it's one thing not to have any fun yourself, but when the family's not having any fun, as you know, that's not a great place to be. But when you think about what's happening here, and you think about the hard work that's going into it. I'm walking out the other night at 10:30, 10:45 at night, and going out to my car, and the balls are bouncing in the ladies' side in Cook Hall. And there's two of his players. There's the freshman that set all those records. She's in there shooting 10:30, 10:45 at night. There's no coaches in there. All right, there's no manager in there to rebound for. She's in there rebounding the ball, and there's another girl on the other end. That's culture. That's culture. We'll take the football, or we'll take the unofficial visits on tours, and we'll take them over to the academic center, the Schul's Ames Academic Center, and we'll take them over to the weight room, or we'll take them over to training table. And there you'll see all these different football players that are in there lifting and working out. You'll see guys with the jugs machines catching passes or guys throwing balls back and forth. It's not set practice. It's guys that want to make it happen. The athletics and the attitude towards athletics and excellence at Indiana is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. What Kurt is building, what Todd is continuing to build on, and what Kevin is on the verge of breaking through on. When you look at what's happened with that offense, because you got to get known for something to get in the door. And what they did is they did that with offense. And they start out in the top 50, they go to the top 20, now they're in the top 10. He just mentioned all that experience because if you think back to that phenomenal recruiting class they had a year ago, it was basically defense. It was basically defense. I saw one of these guys that gets paid to talk about the fact that it's really hard at a school like Indiana to get the right kind of defensive players. I don't think they have a clue what they're talking about. I think he's truly getting the right kind of defensive players. There is a tremendous energy around that program right now, and it permeates because everybody wants to see everybody be successful. And that's what makes Indiana special. It's not about photo ops. It's not about taking a few pictures for Facebook or Twitter. Okay, it's not about jumping in here and let's make everybody think this is we're all part of the same family. As long as I get mine, okay, that's ambition. Ambition is when you really want to do something, okay, and if the other person gets it, well, that's okay, but I got to get mine. I've got to get what I need. All right, and that's not how this athletic department is being built. This athletic department is being built on aspiration. And aspiration, there's no difference. We want what we want. We want to win big. We want to get that national championship. It's been 27, 28 years. We want to get another one. But we want to see everybody else get theirs too. And when you're at Indiana, you can't survive in this culture and climate right now if you're not for the other team. Because you'll stand out like a sore thumb, and nobody wants to be that person. Because when you get in those rooms and you see the work that people are putting in, and you see the character that is evolving, and I know one of the main issues we had this year was lack of maturity. I mean, it cost us at certain times. I knew we would miss a lot, losing 6,900 points off that team that we lost a year ago. But what we lost in decision-making, what we lost in maturity, it's taken us a while to get that back up. Well, everybody goes through it. But when you watch the leadership that's at this school and you watch the leadership that's inside the respective programs, you know, when you wear that IU shirt and we talk about Go IU, you're talking about every program. He just locked up our women's soccer coach to a new deal. Our women's volleyball coach, Sherry Dunbar, continues to build that program at a high level, going against some of the best teams in the country. Our track and field coach, Ron Helmer, I can't even begin to imagine what that man has gone through in the last year, literally the last year. And almost to the point where he lost his life, and then unfortunately, he lost his wife to an illness. But yet this man will get on a plane, okay, on Monday night, and he'll travel out to Eugene, Oregon for the week with more of his athletes as they compete in the NCAA championships. This guy was with him today. He's invigorated. All right, he wants to see his program be incredibly successful. He wants every one of those track and field athletes to get better. He just doesn't want the A-list athlete to succeed. He wants the B-list and the C-list. And this man's going through things that I can't even imagine what he's going through. And there he is. There he is, building the program. How do you not root for people like that? And see, and that's what you got at Indiana. You've got people that are doing it. You've got people that are on the verge, and you've got a group of people that will look in the mirror and figure out what needs to be fixed and fix it. And that's where we sit, because we had a phenomenal couple of years in getting this thing to come back. All right, phenomenal couple of years. Statistically, wins on the court, all right, graduation, you name it. And this year we hit a little spot. And I'd really be uptight if I didn't know that it was fixable. And if you're not able to pinpoint what it is, well, how can you ever fix it? And to me, we were fighting a battle the whole way. We were fighting that maturity. How do we close games battle that young teams go through? We were fighting the fact that we didn't progress in certain positions After we lost some great players like Victor and Christian and Jordan and certainly Cody, man, we missed Derek Elston like you can't believe this year. We missed his toughness, his energy, his personality. We missed those things. We missed it in the locker room. We missed somebody that would see this guy get ready to make a mistake and say, nope, not on my watch. I got you. All right, you're not doing that. We went through a little bit of that. You know it, I know it. But you keep getting better as you go through it. And the thing that's important about this program is that there is not a day that constant growth and improvement is not at the forefront of my mind, of every coach's mind, and every player's mind. Because if it's not, you can't stay. You can't stay. You got to be part of the solution. You got to be a part of the solution when you're down 5, like we were a year ago, okay, with 54 seconds to go at Michigan, and you can see the trophy in the corner. And we come back out and we find a way to win that game without ever calling a timeout and take the Big Ten championship, which had not been done outright in 20 years, okay? But you also figured out when your team is not clicking on every cylinder that they need to be on. And to me, so much of it was decision-making. So much of it was the turnovers. The national average for turnovers this past year was 12.4. We committed 14.4 in the league, 15.2 overall. We scored 12.5 points off turnovers that we created. Our opponent scored almost 16 points off turnovers. Our field goal percentage defense was within 2 percentage points of where it was with a Big Ten champion. Our three-point defense was better. We led the league. All right, our point differential was affected. Our decision-making, our turnovers, our ability to make timely shots was not where it needed to be. We were 2 and 5 in the Big Ten on games that came down to 1 possession. Year before, we won those games. And you have to be able to make decisions. It's never the play at the end of the game. That's the one that gets magnified. It's the turnover in the middle. It's a guy not coming out of a timeout, okay, running the right play, all right, when you need that bucket like we had a year ago. Everything that we needed to grow up on, okay, we attacked, we addressed, we did. We just didn't always accomplish it. Our rebound margin was high. It was 7+. It was one of the best in the country. Like I said, our three-point defense had never been better. I mean, there were things that were getting better, but we weren't as cohesive as we needed to be. We were not nearly as good in the backcourt. We had a great guard. He was on the verge of being a great guard, put it that way. But we didn't have great guard play. We played UConn. It was another one of those games, non-league. It comes down to 1 possession twice for us. And they win the national championship, as you know. And I look back at that game, and it wasn't Yogi versus Shabazz Napier. It was their guard play was better than our guard play. Their decision-making at crucial times was better than our decision-making at crucial times. Now, we got better at some things throughout the year, but our turnovers and things like that continued to grab us. But it wasn't because we weren't working at it. It wasn't because they didn't care. It wasn't because they didn't work hard. They didn't always know how to put that foot down and just absolutely bear down and say, we're going to get it done. We didn't do that. Our deflections this year were higher than they had ever been. We averaged 48 on the Big Ten champion. This year we averaged 50. Our activity, our length, all those things were there. But getting it done in a consistent, timely way was not where it needed to be. And that's what we've got to continue to attack. The season ended. We had spring break. We were right back at it a week later. We've had 21 individual workouts in the spring while they were in school. We had over 35 lifts. That doesn't include the extra work that guys did. That doesn't include the extra lifts that guys put in. It doesn't include the early morning shooting that they'll do in Cook Hall, the late night shooting they'll do. It doesn't include any of that. It includes what we were there for. Because we weren't going to take one of those summers or springs, I should say, and then summer that says, well, we'll just get better. No, we're going to force feed what needs to be done. Constant improvement, daily basis, no question about it, has to happen. Same thing with all of us. What beat us? Where do we have to get better? What do we got to do in the last couple minutes? What can we do to start? What do we have to improve upon? We just work right at it. We just work right at it. We get the chemistry of our program, starting with the staff where it needs to be on a daily basis. It trickles down into the players. Now all of a sudden that leadership starts to grow. And that's what we've got to have. We've got a busy summer plan. They'll start to be in this weekend. We'll start our work next week. We're going to go to Montreal on August 8th. We're going to play 5 games in 6 days. We have not taken a foreign trip since I've been there. So one of the media members asked, why that choice? Because it's close, it's logistically easy for us to get to, it's easy for our fans to get to if they want to get there. We don't have to spend a lot of time traveling back and forth, and they can still get a little break before they come back to school at the end of August. And we're going to see some teams that can play. We're going to see some very good competition. We'll get those extra practices. We'll get that time. If I could go back and rewrite last year, I'd have done it last summer. Wasn't smart enough to do it. We're not going to miss the chance this summer. We're going to take advantage. You get to go every 4 years. This will be the first time that we'll go. We'll start working with our team. We'll have them in camps. We'll have them continue to do the things that are going to make them better. We'll have them continue to show up at the hospital and see people that come in at 7 a.m., that are there because they've got to get their cancer treatment. We'll have them continue to show up in schools where they can talk about how important fundamentals are, how important it is to do the right thing. And you know what? We'll work every day to continue to hold them to what the right thing is. We'll continue to hold them to what it means to hold up to this other tradition that's at Indiana now, that's not only on the court, but what's going on academically. With 4 straight years at the APR being 1,000. No one else has that. We want to continue to do that. Those are the things that we want to continue to build on, because those are the things that are going to help us get ready to play this schedule that we have and to play this Big Ten schedule that we have. We've got games like SMU will be a preseason top 10 team. They'll come into Assembly Hall to play us. Pittsburgh will come in as part of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. We'll play Butler as part of the Crossroads Classic. We'll play Louisville at the Jimmy V Classic. I believe it's December 9th. Illinois will play Villanova before us. And then we're going back at the end of December, right before we start the Big Ten, right after Christmas, to play Georgetown in New York. As I said, I wish we could have had one of those games move into last year. Just one of them. All right? And we made some decisions schedule-wise that we had some things sitting out there. They didn't work out that way. Well, now they come to fruition this year. So that schedule on what will probably be the youngest or one of the 2 youngest teams in the league is going to be a tremendous challenge. But they need it. They need it because we need to continue to grow up. We need to continue to be decision makers. I love the fact that we've got a group of guys like Yogi Ferrell, Troy Williams, Stan Robinson. Those guys have worked extremely hard this offseason. Devin Davis continues to get better, and they're not even in town right now. Hunter Paria's in town. Colin Hartman's in town. Those guys are there taking that summer session, and Collins Casey's working on rehabbing his knee, and they're working to get better. They're working to get better. The players that like Will and Noah, those guys were in there to the last possible time. All right, Noah came back 3 times to say goodbye on the day that he left, before he left to go to New York to get ready and get prepared for the draft. And that's what we've got to continue to build, is a group of people that understand that they're playing for people like you, they're playing for coaches like this, they're playing for teams like that, but they're playing for tradition that is second to none. And that's what we want to work on. And we want to get these young guys to understand that, because there's some real talent. We've led the BCS over the last 3 years in 3-point shooting overall and 3-point shooting in the league. And if you'd asked me last year, I didn't think our shooting was very good at all. But you know what? It was still 3rd in the league. Problem is we had too many guys that didn't make shots that needed to make them. We lost 2 guys that made 4 threes in the Big Ten. Blackman, Max Hotzel, or Robert Johnson will make that in a half, okay, early this year. We didn't make enough shots in a timely way. We didn't have enough shot makers from 3 that did it consistently, Will to a degree, but Yogi and Noah were the best at that. So everybody's got to continue to improve that. Well, James Blackman Jr., Rob Johnson Jr., and Max Hotzel come in and they bring that. They bring scoring ability. They bring shooting ability. One of the gentlemen that does a pretty good job, he's from the state of Kentucky, or lives in the state of Kentucky, and he does some rankings. Evan Daniels did a list of the top 10 shooters in the country. He had Blackman number 1, Johnson number 2. I kept that article. Some articles I don't read, I don't keep. That one I did. That's pretty good because that's what we need. Max Hotzel comes into the Derby Classic, makes shots, wins the 3-point contest. Derby Classic's pretty strong now. They've been doing a great job at that for decades. And he comes in and he holds his own. He played in a great prep school league. And then the 2 guys that we signed last, those 3 are going to definitely come in. Rob and James, they have to play. I mean, there's no way around it, and they will. Max, I truly believe will, because he's been well coached and he's getting better. The last 2 we signed have got upside. They've got skill level that they bring in that get them on the court. In the case of Tim Priller, he's 6'9", he shot 52% from 3 in one of the best leagues in Texas, in the Dallas area, well coached, makes big plays, skinny, Okay, you'd look at him and you'd send him back to the buffet line as you would Jeremiah April, and then you'd send him to the dessert line, and then you'd take him home and you get him some Salem's Donuts and Salem Bakery, the whole thing. Okay, that's what you do. That's what they need. But right now, what they can do is Tim can put the ball in the basket. We've just got to get him stronger, a lot stronger. And Jeremiah is 7 foot and has grown about 4 inches in the last couple of years. I mention those two because they're coming in. They're late signees, but they're guys. They have a chance to come in and help us. What's happened with the way recruiting is right now in college basketball, it's really turned into like an NFL free agency period. And if you follow the NFL, you know what I'm talking about. The month of May is really now like the month of October used to be for recruiting and getting commitments. The month of June is now like April. We're still active right now. We have 2 scholarships. We may use them, we may not. But we're active. We're active. A lot of it's underground, but we're active because we want to continue to build this team the best possible way that we can. We want to continue to add guys that bring value, that bring two-way impact. That number one, they can bring something to the chemistry. Number two, they're not front runners. All right, when things are going good, there they are. When things aren't going good, there they go. We don't need that. We don't need that. We need guys that can continue to grow up, and we need guys that understand you win it on both ends of the court. That's how Indiana's been built. That's what we came in. That's how we won a Big Ten championship. That's how we spent 11, 12 weeks, whatever it was, at number one. That's why we're getting lottery picks. That's why we're graduating guys in 3.5 years. That's why we have an APR the way that it is over the last 4 years. That's why we have an athletic director and a staff with Scott Dolson and everybody else, Anthony Thompson, who's here, that work day and night to make life better for every student athlete, for every coach in that area. All right, and what you do to help make the atmosphere, the energy, the enthusiasm, and the facilities what they are, that's what it is. And be rest assured, there's not one person, all right, and I know I can speak on behalf of all the other coaches, but I'm going to speak on behalf of men's basketball right now. There's not one day that goes by. There's not one part of the day that goes by. Well, we're not working to make this program be the blue blood that it is. To be the blue blood that you made it with your support, all right, with your energy, with your enthusiasm for all these decades, to be the blue blood that it was because of all those championships and those 5 national championships and those 8 Final Fours and those 3 Hall of Fame coaches and those 73 or 56 All-Americans and 73, soon to be 74, 75 draft picks, most wins in the Big Ten. There's not one day we don't work to make that the most respectable, high integrity, high character program it can be. We'll work on it on a daily basis. There's nothing like it. Go IU. Thank you.